Discover the hidden power of one black maid as the billionaire's words transformed everything. Clara Johnson stood in the vast marble foyer of the Leland estate, her heart pounding as she dusted the ornate chandelier. It was a world of splendor, a sparkling facade nestled just outside Atlanta, hiding the gritty struggles of life below its polished surface. Each day she scrubbed and polished, but in the shadows of this opulence, Clara wrestled with her own haunting history. Memories of her late mother filled her thoughts, her gentle voice whispering lessons of grace, resilience, and the importance of family legacy in a world that often overlooked the true wealth found in love and heritage. As Clara prepared meals in the gleaming kitchen, the aroma of her mother's recipes wafted through the hallways. Yet, as the annual charity gala approached, so did the stormy tensions within the Leland household. Vanessa Leland, Leland's wife, fretted over appearances while their children bickered about the extravagant demands of their privileged lives. Clara sensed the emotional weight in the air, a crystal-clear reminder of the stark economic disparity she faced each day. When Clara learned that Mr. Leland planned to auction her mother's cherished recipe book that night, a priceless collection, filled with love and culture, her heart clenched. This book wasn't just ink on paper, it was a legacy. Fueled by a burning frustration, she decided she couldn't let this happen. They'll auction my mother's memory? Clara thought fiercely, a shallow breath escaping her lips. Clara marched into Leland's office, determination radiating from her. Mr. Leland, she began, her voice steady yet filled with emotion. Please, let me showcase my mother's recipes at the gala. They're not just food. They encapsulate our family's love and history. Leland scoffed, dismissing her as he regaled Clara with words that felt like daggers. He saw the recipes as mere tools for grandeur, blissfully ignorant of their true worth. The sting of his rejection burned deep. Clara looked up at him, her heart heavy, feeling the walls around her close in. I am not just a maid. I have worth, too. But Leland brushed her off with a wave of his hand, his laughter ringing hollow in the air around her. As gala night drew closer, Clara's resolve hardened. It was time to fight for her mother's memory, to reclaim her dignity, and stand tall in her truth. The night of the event arrived, the chandeliers sparkling like stars above a sea of opulence. Clara looked around, feeling like a ghost haunting the spaces of her memories. All eyes were on the Leland family as they prepared for their night of fame. But Clara had something far richer in mind. With trembling fingers, Clara took a deep breath and stepped into the ballroom, a hush falling over the crowd. Her heart raced, anticipation buzzing through her veins. She held her mother's recipe book tight, its edges worn from years of love and culinary secrets. Tension thickened in the air as everyone turned to her, curiosity etched on their faces. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Clara's voice quivered as she began to speak of her mother's teachings, perseverance, love, and the simple power of shared meals. The room filled with an unexpected warmth, emotion crackling in the air. But just as Clara felt hope growing, Leland's dismissive laughter pierced through the room, sending waves of shock rippling through the crowd. What does a maid know about worth? Tension snapped like a tightrope, leaving Clara teetering on the edge. She stood at a cliff of uncertainty, grappling with the significance of this moment. Would her dignity and courage reshape the Leland family's view of honor and respect? Would they see the true cost of love and legacy hidden behind wealth? As Clara searched the faces before her for understanding, a flicker of determination ignited within her. Clara felt the weight of the room bearing down on her, the disbelief and mockery slamming against her like a storm. Yet, in that moment of vulnerability, something shifted inside her. She could feel her mother's presence urging her forward. Taking a breath, Clara steadied herself, her grip tightening around the edges of the recipe book. No, she called out, her voice rising above the murmurs. I'm not just a maid. I'm a daughter, and this is my mother's legacy. A ripple of surprise swept through the guests, their eyes darting between Clara and the Leland family. Whispers began to swirl, mixing with the stunning sounds of classical music that enveloped the gala. For a heartbeat, the room seemed to hold its breath. Clara, Vanessa Leland's voice broke through the tension, uncertain yet almost pleading. This isn't the time, it is the time. Clara interrupted, feeling a newfound strength flow through her. Everyone here is celebrating wealth, but you can't buy what I carry in my heart, what my mother's recipes mean to me. She glanced around, meeting the eyes of a few sympathetic attendees, and felt a flicker of hope. Those recipes are rich, filled with love and tradition. They capture the essence of who I am, who my family is. My mother brought people together, taught us to cherish moments over meals. These aren't just recipes. They are stories, filled with flavors that tell our journey. Isn't that something worth celebrating? Leland's expression hardened, disbelief flaring in his eyes. The laughter that had once echoed now faded into the background noise. He could feel the tide shifting, could sense the audience shifting their gaze toward Clara. The whispers grew louder, a mix of intrigue and confusion. Enough of this, he finally barked, trying to reclaim the room. No one is here for a lesson on culinary poetry, Clara. We are here to enjoy a night of prestige. Yeah, but at what cost? Shouted a voice from the back. Clara's heart skipped. She recognized that voice. It was one of Vanessa's closest friends, a woman who had always seen Clara more than just the help. Those recipes deserve a place in this world, not just a price tag. Suddenly the room exploded with murmurs supporting Clara. The dynamic shifted, not entirely in her favor, but she felt the crowd rallying behind her. Shock and surprise danced in the attendants' eyes. Clara was no longer just a background figure. She had the spotlight, and she was determined to own it. Let me show you, Clara pleaded, her voice raw with emotion. Let me cook my mother's recipes for this gala. If it's not worth anything to you, at least let me share it with those who understand. Leland's lips tightened as he considered the implications. The crowd's growing interest conflicted with his need for control. It was a game of power and perception, one he had not anticipated. Clara felt the weight of his stare, her resolve hardening even further. Fine, Leland finally said, his tone flat. One demo, and we'll see how it goes. The applause erupted as Clara's heart soared, but doubt also crept in. Would she be able to cultivate the same magic her mother had? Could her recipes weave love through the hearts of the very people who nearly discarded them? As the evening continued, Clara prepared herself for the biggest challenge of her life. The air buzzed with anticipation around her, mixing with anxiety deep in her gut. The gala was no longer just about wealthy guests. It had transformed into a battleground for respect and recognition. Clara stepped to the kitchen, pulling open her mother's recipe book. It held secrets, memories, and strength. What would happen when she unveiled her soul through food? Time slipped relentlessly forward as she gathered her ingredients. But an inkling of fear gnawed at her heart. Would she be able to rise to the occasion? A single thought crystallized in her mind. She wasn't just cooking. She was creating a moment, a message, a legacy. And as she looked around one last time, the gravity of the moment pressed upon her. Would the dish bring them together, or would it be another reminder of division? The answer lingered in the air, just out of reach, as she set her plan into motion. Clara took a deep breath, determined to embrace the challenge ahead. But behind the chaos, could she sense the eyes of someone watching, someone who may view her legacy differently? As she began to chop, a figure stood near the doorway, his presence powerful and commanding. Little did Clara know, this person might just change everything yet again. Clara moved through the kitchen with a grace she didn't know she had. The clang of pots and the hum of the oven served as her backdrop. Each ingredient, each spice, was a piece of her mother's spirit, guiding her hands as well as her heart. She remembered the sweet smell of cumin mingling with garlic, the warmth of family dinners where laughter sparked joy over shared dishes. This was her moment to honor that loved as she chopped onions. The sting of the juice brought tears to her eyes, but she blinked them away. It was their memory that fueled her, the images of her mother smiling over the stove, teaching Clara the stories behind every recipe. Cooking is love made visible, she would say, and Clara held tight to those words. Outside the kitchen, The gala buzzed with voices, but Clara drowned it out. She concentrated on layering flavors, recalling her mother's encouragement to taste as she went. The crisp vegetables sizzled beautifully in the pan, and a vibrant aroma began to fill the air, pulling attendees closer, their curious whispers floating through the room. "Can you smell that?" Someone gasped enthusiastically. "They're finally doing something interesting." Another remarked, and Clara felt a flicker of hope surge in her chest. But then she caught sight of Leland at the entrance, arms crossed, eyeing her like a hawk. His skepticism hung heavy in the air, but Clara pushed it down willfully. "There's more to this than he knows," she murmured under her breath, stirring a pot of broth infused with herbs as her heart raced. Suddenly, a man stepped into her line of sight. Clara blinked in surprise. It was the figure she had sensed watching her earlier. He was tall, with striking features that radiated confidence, and something else, something deeper. There was an intensity in his eyes as they met hers. "Excuse me," he said, his voice smooth yet firm. "Can I help?" Clara was momentarily taken aback. The smile on his face was genuine, laced with a kindness that eased her frayed nerves. Yes, please," she replied, surprised that she even wanted assistance. "I'm preparing a dish, but I know," he interrupted gently, already stepping forward to help her dice the vegetables with precision. "I saw what you did out there. You inspired them. They're listening to you." Clara felt a rush of gratitude. There was something about this man, a warmth that seemed to radiate, pushing back against every ounce of doubt she had. "What if they hate it?" she asked, vulnerability seeping through her words. "They won't," he replied without hesitation. "You're sharing something real. That is powerful." His reassurance settled over her like a comforting blanket. As they worked side by side, Clara opened up about her mother, and he listened intently, offering insights that seemed far beyond what she expected. He encouraged her to flavor each dish not just with ingredients, but with stories, laughter bubbling into her heart, the kitchen filled with chatter, laughter, and most importantly the intoxicating scent of her mother's recipes marinating into something beautiful and new. Clara could see glimmers of interest peeking in from the threshold as guests leaned forward, their curiosity igniting an excitement within her. Moving seamlessly, Clara began to plate her dish, the colors vibrant and alive. As she garnished the final plate, the moment felt electric. It was more than just cooking. It was an act of love, a tribute to her family, and maybe, just maybe, a bridge to what lay beyond the glittering waves of wealth and status. "Are you ready?" the man asked, standing firm beside her. "I have to be," Clara replied, her voice steady and resolute, feeling as if the weight of her mother's legacy rested lightly on her shoulders. Just then, Leland cleared his throat, stepping forward. "Enough of this. It's time to see if any of it is worthy of our dinner," he declared, face unreadable. Clara's stomach twisted with nerves, but she held her head high. This was a test, a moment of truth that could change everything. As she stepped forward, her heart pounded in anticipation, not knowing what awaited her. But then, she felt a soft squeeze on her shoulder from the man beside her, grounding her, sending a silent message of encouragement. She took a deep breath and walked towards the eager crowd. The future was uncertain, but in that moment, Clara knew she would embrace every second of it. What would their reactions be? Would her mother's legacy find a place in their hearts, or would it all come crashing down? Clara stood before the gathered crowd, her heart pounding like a drum, the vibrant colors of her dish radiating warmth and love. Apprehension danced in her chest, threatening to spill over as she locked eyes with Leland. However, there was also a flicker of hope ignited by the man beside her, who seemed to believe in her more than she believed in herself. "Let us see what you've got," Leland said, his tone simultaneously challenging and condescending, and Clara braced herself. The first plate, an intricate layering of colors, scents, and memories sat before him. She felt the anticipation ripple through the crowd as they leaned in, their curiosity palpable, yet she could still pick out Leland's skeptical gaze. She watched as he lifted the fork, her pulse racing with every second that stretched into eternity. The first taste hung in the air, and an almost deafening silence fell over the room. Then, a crunch, a soft moan. "Interesting," Leland finally said, his brow furrowing as he chewed. Clara's breath caught in her throat, her heart racing in tandem with the hopeful whispers of the guests around her. "What did you put in this?" he asked, looking up. "Just a simple mix of spices and a few family secrets," Clara replied, trying to mirror the confidence she felt stirring inside her. It was as though her mother was right there with her, nodding in approval. Leland tasted again, slower this time. The crowd buzzed with eager conversations, their excitement bubbling like the broth in the pot. Faces beamed with curiosity and approval, the warmth of the kitchen drawing them in closer. Clara could see that they were responding, that her efforts were not in vain. "Delicious," one guest called out, and another chimed in with an enthusiastic, "I've never tasted anything like this." Their praises wrapped around her like a welcome embrace. Emboldened, Clara moved to serve the next plates, her hands steadying with each new dish. The man beside her smiled encouragingly, and for every plate she served, a piece of her mother's spirit enveloped the room. Clara felt her connection to her past deepening, the generational legacy becoming a living tapestry that she now stitched together in each bite. But just as she began to feel invincible, Leland cleared his throat again, sharper this time. "Let us try a different dish," he commanded coldly, drawing Clara's attention like a moth to a flame. Her stomach dropped. "Sure," she stammered, tossing a glance at the man beside her. His earlier glow of confidence now flickered in uncertainty. "What if they don't like this new one?" Clara's voice dropped to a whisper, laden with fear. "You can do this," he urged softly. "Each dish is a part of you. Remember that." With a deep breath, she bent to work again, the whispers of encouragement fading into her mind. She knew she had to give them something not just to savor, but to remember. As she worked, mixing flavors and memories, she could feel the pressure building, but also something else understanding. "I didn't come here to just cook," she thought fiercely. "I came here to show them who I am." Clara's hands danced over the ingredients with renewed fervor, guided by an intoxicating mix of love and defiance. An unfamiliar strength surged through her veins, transforming her fear into something productive. As she plated the next dish, a lavish sweet and spicy creation reminiscent of her childhood, the atmosphere shifted again. Guests murmured to one another, excitement and intrigue flickering around her. At that moment, Leland dropped his fork and fixed her with an appraising stare. "You might have something here after all." Clara's heart raced even faster. What did that mean? Would she finally break through the walls of skepticism? But before she could contemplate further, she caught sight of a familiar figure in the crowd, a face she hadn't expected to see. A veneer of calm washed over her, yet inside, worry twisted anew. What would they think? The stakes had just been raised, and no one but Clara could write the ending. Clara's hands trembled slightly as she placed the final touches on her dish. The smell of sweet and spicy aromas wafted through the air, presenting a medley of memories that felt like a hug from the past. Her eyes didn't leave Leland's face, a blend of scrutiny and something that resembled intrigue. She could feel the tension swirling around her like a storm, the crowd eager for the next crescendo. As she stepped closer, the face that had caught her eye moments ago became clearer. It was Isabel, her childhood friend, a ghost from a past she had thought was locked away. What was she doing here? Clara's heart sank, but before she could get lost in uncertainty, Isabel's eyes locked onto hers. There was a flicker of recognition, warmth, and perhaps a glimmer of pride. Clara steadied herself, trying to ground her swirling thoughts. "Clara, it's been ages." Isabel's voice sliced through the crowd noise, her surprise barely masked. She stepped forward, her smile brightening the dimly lit room. "Isabel, I didn't expect to see you here." Clara swallowed hard, emotions battling within her like a tide. The last time they'd spoken, it was filled with laughter and later, with goodbyes. Cold, painful ones. "Of course, I had to come see you cook. I heard the buzz around town." But also Isabel hesitated, her expression turning fond and serious. "I wanted to make sure you're okay." Clara's heart swelled with the weight of old bonds. She hadn't realized how much she craved her friend's words of support until now. Yet, a shadow hung over her fear of judgment, fear of not being enough. "Clara, you're incredible. Just look at this." Isabel gestured towards the dish, its colors vivid like confetti against the stark white plate. "You haven't just made food. You've made magic." In that moment, Clara felt fortified. The love and encouragement rippling from Isabel fueled her confidence. She turned back to Leland, forcing a smile, determination etching itself into her features. Let us see how you react to what's next. As she served the sweet and spicy dish to Leland, Clara held her breath. Would he see the hours of love poured into the recipe, the way it tugged at her roots? She observed as he took a bite, his expression veiled in intent concentration. The people around them hushed, eyes darting between the plate and Leland's face, which slowly morphed into one of an unlikely intrigue. Clara's mind raced. What did he see? What would he say? He leaned back slightly, surveying her with a critical eye. This is unexpected, he murmured, the hint of a smirk pulling at the corner of his mouth. You've developed a knack for surprise. A wave of relief washed over her, but before she could bask in the moment, Leland continued, but it also lacks a certain finish. It's missing that core element. Clara pressed her lips together, fighting back frustration. What do you mean by core element? This dish is deeply personal. It's like a family secret wrapped in nostalgia. Exactly, he remarked, leaning forward slightly. Personal isn't always marketable, Clara. It has to be more than just heartfelt to resonate. Her face burned, caught between defending her love for cooking and the reality that Leland's world moved in a different orbit. Did he really understand? Before she could voice her response, Isabel gently touched Clara's arm. Forget him, Clara. You just keep doing what you do best. If this is who you are, then own it. The acceptance from her friend flooded Clara's heart with warmth, amplifying her resolve. She needed to prove not just to Leland, but to herself that this was about her heritage, her family, and her journey. I will, Clara decided, facing Leland again, her voice stronger now. I want to change my dishes to fit someone else's vision. This is me, the flavors of my history, my dreams, my story. Leland raised an eyebrow, impressed, perhaps for the first time. Well, if you can stand behind that conviction, maybe there's more here than I thought. Excitement simmered in the room as eyes shifted between Clara and Leland. It was a pivotal moment, one poised on a knife's edge. Would she break through, or would this chance slip away, like so many others? As Clara gazed into Isabel's encouraging eyes, her heart pulsed with determination. She felt alive, ignited with raw potential. But just as hope began to settle in, Leland opened his mouth, a challenging glint in his eyes. Let me share a little secret of my own. You're going to need a lot more than just passion to get through this. Clara felt the ground beneath her shift ominously. What was he about to unveil? And could she handle what lay ahead? Clara's heart raced as Leland's gaze met hers. His words hung in the air like a thunderstorm brewing, and she felt a flutter of uncertainty. What could he mean? The crowd leaned in, their anticipation palpable, charged with energy. I've seen plenty of talented chefs, Leland continued, his voice steady yet edged. But talent alone won't keep you afloat. You need strategy, savvy, knowing how to connect with your audience, with your market. He leaned in closer, his eyes intense. What about your backstory? Weave it into your dishes. Make them a narrative that pulls people in. Clara felt her brow furrow, confusion clouding her thoughts. You think I should sell my story? Is that what this is about? It's not just about storytelling. It's about creating an experience. He waved his hand, gesturing to the crowd. Look around you. They're craving not just flavor, but a connection. If you can tap into that, you could create something extraordinary, something that resonates on a deeper level. Isabel shifted beside Clara, uncertainty flickering in her eyes. But Clara's dishes are already personal. They contain her history, her love for her family. Isn't that enough? Leland shrugged slightly, his expression unyielding. It's a start, but passion needs to be packaged. Make it compelling. Sell the brand, Clara. Make them want to purchase not just the food, but the feeling that comes with it. Clara's chest tightened at the implication. Sell? Could she commercialize her family's recipes? Or would that tarnish their meaning? The thought of stripping her heritage for the sake of success felt like an emotional betrayal. I won't compromise my roots for marketability, she said firmly, her voice rising slightly. These recipes are my family's legacy. They carry memories of my grandmother, the kitchen filled with laughter and warmth. I refuse to let that become just a product. Leland's expression softened for a moment, and Clara caught a glimpse of understanding. I get that, but business isn't personal. It's a tough world out there. People 1T remember the heart. They LL remember how your food made them feel. The words cracked Clara open, stirring up an inner turmoil. Was protecting her family's recipes worth sacrificing recognition? Did she have to trade her heart for success? As she glanced at Isabel, she found support in her steadfast friend's eyes, yet doubt lingered like a shadow. The tension was thick, and the audience remained captivated, drawn into the struggle unfolding between them. Your dishes could shine brighter if you shared their journey. Leland pushed on, his enthusiasm palpable despite her pushback. Imagine if you attached a story to each plate, something they can share and pass on. That would make you unforgettable. Clara shook her head, her voice firmer. But at what cost? If I change, I lose what makes me me. Her heart raced with defiance, wanting to stand her ground, but feeling the pressure building. Leland smirked slightly, his competitive spirit sparking in the air. It's not about changing who you are, Clara. It's about evolving into who you can become. If you want to succeed in this industry, you may need to embrace some uncomfortable truths. The crowd murmured, people shifting in their seats, caught between excitement and discomfort. Clara took a deep breath, her hands clenching slightly at her sides. Could she really bridge her passion and Leland's business acumen? The silence stretched between them, heavy with possibilities. Leland watched her, waiting for a reaction, while Isabel's hand remained reassuring on Clara's arm. With a deep breath, Clara ventured into the unknown. What if I can create that experience without losing my essence? Leland raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Now that's the spirit. Let us talk about making your story into something worth sharing. But before they could delve deeper, Clara caught movement from the corner of her eye. A figure lurking at the edge of the crowd, face masked in shadows, seemed to be observing intently. Who were they, and what role would they play in Clara's journey? The figure standing at the edge of the crowd was a paradox of mystery and familiarity. Clara's heart skipped a beat as she tried to make out their features. It was a woman, her posture relaxed, but her eyes intensely focused on Clara and Leland's exchange. Something about her felt strangely magnetic, as if she too understood the weight of Clara's heritage. Leland leaned in, still energized by the moment. Focus, Clara. This is your chance. Don't let distractions take you off track. But Clara couldn't shake the feeling that this mysterious observer was somehow interlinked with her journey. The nagging curiosity gnawed at her, pulling her thoughts away from the business pitch she was in. With a slight frown, she gestured towards the shadowy figure. What about her? Who is she? Leland glanced over his shoulder, then shrugged, caught off guard by the interruption. Some audience member, I presume. Just stay sharp on your story. Don't let anything, or anyone, distract you from it. Clara glanced back, but the woman was gone, swallowed by the crowd. It struck her as odd, a fleeting presence that, despite the noise and excitement, had left nearly no trace behind. The moment felt like a ripple in a calm pond, echoing in Clara's mind as Leland continued to speak, outlining ways she could broaden her narrative. Imagine, Leland leaned closer, a spark in his eye. If every plate you serve comes with a slice of you stories from your grandmother, answers to a longing, perhaps even a celebration of heritage. What if your dishes could tell the audience how your family poured their hearts into them? That emotional centerpiece would make people not just interested, but invested. Clara felt her heart tugging in a different direction. Leland's words wove images of her family kitchen, her grandmother laughing beside her as they chopped, stirred, and tasted those sacred moments of connection. But there was still doubt, lurking in the corners like an uninvited guest. Can it be that simple? She asked, her voice softer now. Will they really respond to that? Leland crossed his arms, looking philosophically over the audience. Human connection isn't simple, Clara. But it's powerful. Stories make the world go round. You infuse each dish with that love and history, and people won't just eat. They remember. They feel. They might even share it themselves. Clara's mind spun with the possibilities. Maybe she could find a way to package her emotions without losing who she was at her core. It could be a bridge and evolution of her culinary journey that still honored her family. Just as she was about to voice her thoughts, a small commotion broke out in the audience. Clara turned to see the woman from before stepping forward, now in clearer view. Her face was lined with age, exuding wisdom, and Clara couldn't help but feel drawn in by the kindness in her eyes. Excuse me. The woman's voice rang out, cutting through the chatter. I need to speak to you, Clara. The room held its collective breath as momentum shifted and Clara's heart raced once more. What could this woman want? Was she a friend, a foe, or perhaps something more? As the crowd parted for her, Clara felt a mixture of anxiety and anticipation rise within her. What do you know about me? She asked, her voice wavering. The woman stepped closer, the intensity in her gaze unmistakable. More than you realize. And it's about time you understood your own story. What was her connection to Clara? What revelations awaited? Clara braced herself, knowing this was just the beginning of a new chapter in her life. Would she discover the hidden truths that lay waiting for her? A hush fell over the crowd, an anticipatory swell of silence that wrapped around Clara like a warm blanket. Her pulse quickened as the woman's deep-set eyes seemed to pierce straight to her soul. There was a wisdom there, a knowledge that felt both inviting and daunting. Who are you? Clara managed to ask, her voice barely rising above a whisper. The audience was still, their focus now entirely on this unexpected turn of events. The woman smiled softly, her wrinkles deepening, and placed a steadying hand on Clara's shoulder. I am someone who has navigated the very waters you are about to enter. Suddenly, the memories came flooding back to Clara. The kitchen in her grandmother's house, the scent of garlic and thyme filling the air, laughter mingling with the clanking of pots. Her grandmother's stories were woven into every dish, an invisible thread binding Clara to her heritage. But had she truly understood the depth of it? Yes, you do know me, the woman continued, her voice soothing yet strong. Your grandmother was my friend. She taught me the secrets of love through cooking. Each meal, a memory shared. Clara felt the edges of her reality blur as nostalgia washed over her. Could this woman really have known her grandmother? It was a comforting thought, but it also threatened to unravel the foundations Clara had built her culinary aspirations upon. Why did you come here? Clara asked, her voice firming. What does this mean for me? The dishes you will create can do more than nourish bodies. They can heal souls, the woman replied, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. You carry her legacy, Clara. But remember, your journey isn't just a continuation. It's about transformation, a melting pot of cultures, flavors, and stories that must be honored. Clara's head spun as she tried to process the weight of the woman's words. But what if I fail? Failure is just a step on the path to discovery, the woman replied, her gaze unwavering. You must embrace your fears and let them guide you. The magic lies not in perfection, but in authenticity. The audience shifted, whispers emerging like fragile petals on a gentle breeze. Clara felt the warmth of their curiosity, the flickering shadows of support flickering to life around her. Would sharing her grandmother's recipes alongside her own voice create a dish worth tasting? As if sensing the question in Clara's heart, the woman leaned in closer, lowering her voice. The world needs your truths, Clara. It needs your heart. But you need to find it first. Seek out your roots. Dive into this journey. Clara's heart thumped wildly in her chest. The audience was still riveted, their excitement palpable. Leland watched, lingering tension in his jaw. He had been so focused on the pitch, on the business aspect, that this raw connection had taken him off guard. Do you really believe they'll understand? Will they relate to the stories my family carries? Clara asked, vulnerability spilling into her voice. Only if you allow them in, the woman urged, her voice a gentle caress. Cook with your heart wide open, and they'll follow you into the flavors of your life. A wave of understanding washed over Clara as a million possibilities danced through her mind. What if she embraced both her heritage and her creative spirit? What if she allowed her family's history to flow through her dishes like a river, changing course, yet always returning to its source? The woman took a step back, her presence almost ethereal now. Remember, Clara, your journey is uniquely yours. And there is someone else watching out for you from afar, someone waiting for you to discover what you've always had within. What do you mean? Clara asked, her heart tightening with a blend of fear and hope. The woman simply smiled, her lips curving knowingly. She turned slowly, beginning to blend once again into the crowd. Find the records of your past, she called over her shoulder, as if she were drifting away into a vivid dream. And you shall find your truest self. Clara stood rooted, questions swirling in her mind like autumn leaves caught in a strong wind. She felt a shift within her, and with it the unmistakable stirrings of adventure. Could it be that the secrets of her story were waiting to be unearthed, hidden beneath layers she hadn't yet explored? As the crowd began to murmur excitedly and Leland approached, Clara's determination solidified. This was her moment. But what records were waiting to reveal her family's legacy? And how far would she have to go to uncover them? Clara's heart raced as she stepped back from the stage, the weight of the woman's words pressing heavily on her shoulders. Did she really have the courage to seek her roots? The crowd buzzed with anticipation, but all she felt was a swirl of uncertainty. Leland's eyes were fixed on her, a mix of encouragement and concern etched into his features. "Clara, are you okay?" he asked, his voice softly breaking through her thoughts. "Yeah." Her voice trailed off. How could she explain the storm brewing inside her? "I think I need to dive deeper into my family's history." Leland nodded, but doubt shadowed his expression. "What does that look like?" "You know the pitch is in a week, right? We need to focus." "I know," she replied, her resolve hardening. "But this isn't just about the pitch. It's about who I am." With a determined smile, Clara took a step towards the exit. She made her decision. She would search for the records. Her grandmother's stories weren't just fading echoes. They were a treasure trove of lessons waiting to be found. "Where are you going?" Leland called after her. "To my grandmother's old house," Clara said, glancing back at him. "I need to go through her things. There must be something there." She stepped out into the fresh air, the crowd still behind her, but she felt a pull, a tug towards something greater. The old blue house stood at the end of a quiet, tree-lined street, shrouded in the memories of her childhood. Aunt Mary, who had taken up residence after her grandmother passed, had kept it mostly intact, but it had also fallen into disrepair. As Clara arrived, the house loomed before her, filled with shadows from her past. She hesitated, her hand hovering over the door. Memories of laughter, comfort, and the aroma of home-cooked meals filled her mind. She took a deep breath and opened the door. Inside, the air was thick with nostalgia. The sunlight poured in, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air. Every creak of the floorboards reminded her of the countless dinners and family gatherings that had once infused this house with life. Clara felt a rush of emotions, joyful, but also bittersweet. She wandered into the kitchen, where her grandmother had spent countless hours, pouring love into her dishes. The faded floral wallpaper still held hints of the vibrant color it once had, and the fragrance of the past seemed to linger stubbornly in the corners. Clara opened a cabinet, revealing a collection of mismatched plates and silverware, each with its story. Precariously stacked in the back was an old wooden box, its surface worn and smooth from years of use. Clara pulled it out, her hands trembling with anticipation. She opened the lid carefully, revealing a treasure trove, handwritten recipes, notes, and photographs. Her heart raced as she began to sift through the contents. Each recipe, penned in her grandmother's delicate script, whispered secrets of culture and legacy, family gatherings, and cherished memories. Suddenly, she stumbled upon a letter tucked away beneath the recipes. The paper was yellowed, the ink smudged but legible. It was a letter addressed to her grandmother from a distant relative, mentioning a family gathering and a hidden heirloom. Something deep inside Clara ignited. This could lead her to the roots she needed to explore. Overwhelmed by the connections unfolding before her, Clara knew one thing. It was time to look beyond just recipes. She needed to connect with the spirit of her family, the stories left unspoken, and perhaps, even with the woman from the presentation as she clutched the letter, determination surged through her veins. What if those family ties could lead her to an understanding she never expected? Clara shut her eyes for a moment, a spark of hope lighting the way forward. But what if, in uncovering her family's past, she discovered something that could change everything she believed about herself? An adventure awaited, one that could stretch beyond recipes and into the very fabric of her identity. With newfound purpose, she stepped out of the house, ready to discover not just her family's legacy, but her own. What deeper truths lay hidden in the pages of history? The thrill of discovery awaited her, and she couldn't shake the feeling that her journey was just beginning. Clara stood in the old house, the weight of her family's legacy resting heavy in her hands. The sunlight streamed in through the dusty windows, illuminating the treasure. She had uncovered the box filled with recipes, notes, and that mysterious letter. With each item she pulled out, Clara felt herself drawing closer to her roots, discovering the essence of who she truly was. As the old wooden floor creaked beneath her, Clara recalled the woman from the gala. "Your story is bigger than just recipes," she had said. Clara closed her eyes, trying to imagine her grandmother guiding her through this journey. What if her culinary creations could become a powerful narrative, one that honored her past while forging a path forward? Determined, Clara picked up the letter again. It spoke of a family heirloom hidden away, something that could bind her family's history together. "I need to find this," she thought, tracing the letter S faded ink. It felt like an invitation to dive deeper, explore connections long forgotten. Clara decided to call her Aunt Mary, hoping she could shed some light on the heirloom and its significance. "Mary, it's Clara," she said as soon as her aunt answered. "I'm at Grandma's house, and I found something important." "What is it, dear?" Mary replied, her voice warm and inviting. Clara recounted the recipes and the letter, the excitement bubbling in her chest. "It talks about a family gathering and an heirloom. Can you tell me more?" "Ah, that heirloom." Mary paused, as though searching for the right words. "It's a necklace that belonged to your great-grandmother. She wore it at every family gathering, and it was said to hold our family's strength and resilience. I haven't seen it in years, but I believe it's kept safe in the attic." Clara's heart raced. "Can we look for it?" "Of course. I'll meet you there," Mary agreed, enthusiasm mirrored in Clara's own. With renewed vigor, Clara climbed to the attic, each step filled with anticipation. The room was filled with old furniture, boxes piled high, and dust motes swirling like memories of the past. She and Mary dug through the piles, Clara's hands trembling with hope. Then, tucked away in a small velvet pouch, they discovered it. The necklace glimmered in the dim light, a beautiful piece that captured the essence of her lineage. Clara felt an overwhelming connection to the women who had come before her. This was a symbol of love and perseverance, a thread weaving through generations. Mary smiled as Clara lifted the necklace, her eyes glistening. "This could be your centerpiece, Clara. You can wear it at the pitch, share its story alongside your dishes." It was an idea that filled Clara with excitement. Cooking could be more than just plates of food. It could be an entire experience anchored in authenticity and heritage. "I'll do it," Clara declared, her voice steady. "I'll weave the necklace's story into my recipes, celebrating our family legacy. It'll be real and true, something people can connect with. I believe in you, Clara. You've always had the passion to inspire." Mary supported her. Days passed, and the pitch loomed closer. Clara experimented in the kitchen, each dish infused with the love and spirit of her family. The necklace rested around her neck like a warm embrace, guiding her as she shared her grandmother's stories. Finally, the day arrived. Clara walked into the conference room filled with potential investors, her heart racing yet grounded by purpose. She set a table adorned with vibrant plates of food, each representing a facet of her heritage. The necklace caught the light, its presence undeniable. As Leland, Isabel, and others took their seats, Clara's voice filled the room. She spoke of her grandmother, the traditions embedded in every recipe, and the power of connection through food. The air was thick with emotion as she described her journey, her voice weaving through the stories that had shaped her. When she served each dish, she shared what it meant, how flavors represented joy, sorrow, and resilience. "This is who I am," she declared confidently. "This isn't just food. It's my family's legacy." Those listening leaned in closer, captivated by Clara's authenticity. Leland's skepticism seemed to melt away as curiosity took its place. With each dish, Clara felt the energy shift, the room filled with warmth and genuine engagement. When Clara presented the necklace at the end, she saw tears in some guests' eyes. "Wear this," she said softly, handing it to Leland. "Understand where we all come from. See the stories behind the flavors." As he took the necklace, a profound silence filled the air. Clara saw recognition in Leland's eyes, a connection beyond mere business. The power of her voice, the essence of her roots, transformed the atmosphere. By the end of the pitch, Clara understood her purpose was not just to sell a product, but to share a legacy. The audience erupted in applause, and she couldn't help but smile through her tears of joy. She had done it. Clara had turned a moment of vulnerability into power. This wasn't just a new beginning. It was the culmination of a journey fueled by family, love, and an unwavering spirit. As the crowd began to disperse, Clara caught the gaze of the woman from the gala, standing at the back of the room. A knowing smile crossed her face, and Clara felt that she was being watched over, that her journey was indeed just beginning. And Clara knew then she would embrace whatever came next, with her roots firmly grounded in the love of her family and a heart wide open to the future. This is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to our channel so you won't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Tell us in the comments your reactions and feelings about the ending. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.